Akame Ga Kill is the kind of anime that slaps you in the face emotionally, and then still has the nerve to ask, "You okay there?" You start out thinking you're just in for another sword-swinging, action-packed adventure, but just a few episodes in, well, you already know nobody's safe. Today, we're taking a trip down memory lane from that very first encounter with Night Raid all the way to the final blow that changed everything. So grab a glass of water, because tears are dehydrating, and let's dive into this recap.
It's Night Raid.
Dreams can turn into nightmares overnight, and for Tatsumi, a young warrior determined to save his village from poverty, the imperial capital was about to deliver that lesson in the harshest way possible. He arrived full of hope, dreaming of fame and fortune in the imperial army.
I'm way too good for that. I was thinking something more along the lines of a...
But reality? A door slammed in his face. In the capital, connections and money matter more than raw talent. Then came a blonde woman with an angelic smile. "Need some help, sweetheart?" And just like that, all of Tatsumi's money was gone. First scam, check. Second, roam the streets like a homeless man. When everything seemed lost, a ray of hope appeared. Arya, a noble girl with a seemingly kind heart, offered him shelter in her family's mansion. Finally, good people. Her father even promised to help him find Sayo and Ieyasu, his childhood friends lost during a bandit attack. But sometimes, not everything is what it seems. Nightfall brought terror. Legendary assassins known as Night Raid raided the mansion with bone-chilling precision, leading the attack, the same blonde woman who had scammed him. These monsters were attacking the only family that had taken him in. Tatsumi confronted Akame, the katana-wielding assassin, determined to protect Arya, a fatal blow blocked by a charm from his village. For a moment, even the assassins looked surprised. It was then that Leone, the treacherous blonde, showed Tatsumi a soul-shattering scene. A warehouse filled with mutilated bodies, farmers just like him, lured to the mansion only to become the playthings of a sadistic family, and there they were. Sayo, already dead. Ieyasu, barely clinging to life, used his last breath to reveal the truth Tatsumi refused to see. Arya confessed everything with a twisted smile, mocking every single victim. Tatsumi's fury erupted. With his own hands, he executed the girl who had destroyed his life, and as Ieyasu died in his arms, one thing became crystal clear: the world needed to change. Leone dragged him away, saying that she's part of the group now, but was Tatsumi ready to face the truth behind this world? From victim to avenger in a single night. But the Night Raid wasn't exactly what Tatsumi expected from a group of assassins. Shell, the clumsy one with glasses. Mine, a hot-headed sharpshooter. Lubbock, a pervert with deadly wires. And Bulat, a former imperial soldier built like a tank.
I can think of a lot of wrong ideas.
When their leader, Najenda, returned, she laid down the choice that would change everything: become an assassin or help out in our workshop. The truth behind Night Raid was bigger than personal revenge. They were the secret arm of the Revolutionary Army, fighting to overthrow a corrupt government that turned entire villages into mass graves. They weren't just killers, they were the hope for a better world. Tatsumi accepted without hesitation. He had finally found a cause worth fighting for. Training with Akame was unusual. Cooking and fishing under extreme conditions. It seemed absurd, but it was sharpening his instincts as an assassin without him even realizing. Every seemingly pointless task was actually a deadly lesson in disguise. Then came the first mission. The targets: Gamal, a crooked merchant, and Ogre, a captain of the guard who got off on framing innocence. While Leone and Akame took care of Gamal, Tatsumi volunteered for the bigger challenge. Ogre was a feared swordsman, arrogant, brutal, and sadistic. In a dark alley, he mocked justice and threatened to kill Tatsumi's family. Big mistake. The rage Tatsumi had carried since Arya's mansion boiled over into a decisive, lethal strike. Back at base, something shifted. Akame, always cold as ice, checked him over for injuries, and for the first time, her mask slipped.
I'm glad you survived.
Her harshness wasn't cruelty, it was a shield. Tatsumi was finally seen as a true member, but the next stage of training was with Mine, the girl with an explosive temper to match her firepower. Was he really ready to deal with a girl more dangerous than her own bombs? But training had to wait. Intruders attacked the Night Raid base, and Tatsumi was about to witness the true power of the Imperial relics. "Call me brother," said Bulat, revealing his relic, the Incarcio armor. Outside, the horror show began. Akame moved through enemies like a deadly deadly phantom. Mine showed why her weapon, Pumpkin, was so feared. A rifle that grew stronger, the greater the danger. Lubbock turned the battlefield into a deadly web, but reality truly hit when Tatsumi went on a reconnaissance mission to the capital with Mine. For the first time, he saw the poverty hidden behind the golden walls. Mine opened up about her own pain. As a mixed-race girl, she faced discrimination that left deep scars. Now, she fought for a world where a person's worth wasn't defined by their birthplace. The cruelty of the regime came into sharp focus during a public execution.
No, please! Your Grace, if you don't stop him, he'll lead the Empire into ruin!
Orchestrated by Prime Minister Honest, a man who pulled the strings of the young emperor like a puppet. The urgency of the revolution had never been clearer. New mission: eliminate Eokal, a relative of the Prime Minister who kidnapped and tortured women for sport. Mine took up her sniper position, with Tatsumi acting as her bodyguard. At the critical moment, she hesitated. Tatsumi made her question whether it was worth taking the shot with innocent people around. That moment of doubt came at a cost. A hasty retreat and a deadly chase followed. When they were cornered by Eokal's last guard, a former martial arts master, Tatsumi did something that changed everything between them. He offered himself as bait, putting his life in Mine's hands.
You said you're a genius sniper, didn't you? You could do it!
With Tatsumi in mortal danger, Pumpkin's power exploded. A concentrated energy shot obliterated the enemy. Mission accomplished, but the relief didn't last. From the shadows, sadistic eyes watched the pair. A new predator had found its next prey. The nightmare had a name: Zanku, the executioner. Through the streets of the capital, he left behind a trail of terror and severed heads, delighting in every scream of horror. At the Night Raid's hideout, the revelation about the Imperial arms changed everything. 48 superpowered weapons, forged 1,000 years ago, each with a unique ability. Akame's Murasame carried a deadly curse. Bulat's Incarcio granted impenetrable defense. Mine's Pumpkin grew stronger the greater the danger. And the cruelest rule: when two wielders face off to the death, only one survives. During a night patrol, Akame revealed Murasame's weaknesses to Tatsumi. Even legendary weapons had limits. That's when Zanku appeared, using his stolen Imperial arm to unleash a devastating illusion.
Thank God, you're okay.
Oh, how touching.
Tatsumi was outmatched. Every strike was countered, every plan dismantled. Just as death loomed, Akame stepped in. The real fight began. Speed versus foresight, experience versus power. Zanku pushed Akame to a stalemate until he unveiled his hidden weapon, Illu's Sight, and before her appeared Kurome, the most important person in her life. "You won't strike someone you love," Zanku sneered. He was wrong. Akame cut down the illusion without hesitation.
My desire to kill her is because I love her so dearly.
Zanku's moment of doubt proved fatal. Murasame found its mark. In his final moments, the executioner gave thanks. At last, the voices of his victims went silent. Back at base, Akame made a confession that warmed Tatsumi's heart.
Everyone in Night Raid. They're all important to me. That includes you too.
But somewhere within the Empire, a shadow from Akame's past began to stir, and when Kurome finally emerged, Night Raid would learn that some battles hurt more than death. Nightmares of dead friends haunted Tatsumi, but a new mentor was about to teach him that sometimes kindness is just the most dangerous face of violence. Shell seemed like the least threatening member of the group, clumsy with simple tasks, always breaking things. But during training, she revealed a chilling past, a childhood of loneliness, where only one girl ever truly accepted her. That friendship ended in blood. When the girl's abusive ex-boyfriend crossed the line, Shell killed him with terrifying calm. Later, when the man's accomplices murdered her parents in revenge, she discovered her true talent, a loose screw that made her lethally efficient. The test with Zanku's Tegu ended in violent failure. Not everyone is compatible with these legendary weapons. Their conversation turned to the most powerful Tegu, including one that could control ice, wielded by a woman who had conquered entire northern tribes, Esdeath. Just hearing her name sent shivers down everyone's spine. Tatsumi still clung to a foolish hope that maybe somewhere a Tegu existed that could bring back the dead. Bulat crushed that dream without hesitation. The dead stay dead.
Not even an Imperial arms can bring the dead back to life, Tatsumi.
That night, Shell comforted Tatsumi as he finally cried for his fallen friends. At the palace, the Prime Minister, alarmed by Night Raid's growing success, made a decision that would change everything. He summoned General Esdeath back to the capital. The hunt had officially begun. Elsewhere, after a mission with Leone, Tatsumi got lost and crossed paths with Seryu, an Imperial Guard officer with an angelic smile and a disturbing obsession with justice. She helped him find his way, but her eyes gleamed with something dangerous. Far from his sight, Seiryu swore vengeance for her fallen mentor, Captain Ogre. Painful body modifications, brutal experiments, she would endure anything to wipe out Night Raid. Two storms were closing in on Night Raid, a sadistic general from the north and a fanatic enforcer of justice from the capital. The storm hit faster than anyone expected. While Leone and Tatsumi carried out hits on traffickers in the red light district, a personal mission for Leone, who had known one of the victims, Mine and Shell were walking straight into a deadly ambush. Seiryu struck with ferocity. Driven mad by her thirst for vengeance over Ogre's death, the once disciplined officer had become something monstrous. Alongside her Bio-Tegu Koro, she demonstrated just how thin the line between justice and madness really is. The battle was savage. Seiryu unveiled modified weapons hidden within her own body, while Koro displayed regenerative abilities that defied logic. Mine and Shell fought with everything they had, but were quickly being overwhelmed. In a desperate move, Shell activated Esdeath's special ability, unleashing a blinding flash that saved Mine from a fatal blow, but at a terrible cost. She was left defenseless. Seiryu ordered Koro into berserk mode. The creature, now a mindless, hulking beast, charged in for the final strike. Shell didn't hesitate for even a second. She shoved Mine out of harm's way and took the full brunt of the attack herself, cleaved in half. With her shattered body and fading strength, she activated Esdeath one final time. Her last thoughts were of the friends she loved. Seiryu showed no mercy as she executed the fallen assassin. Back at the hideout, grief turned into rage.
So we can get our revenge! Don't you get it?
But Mine directed her pain into something far more dangerous. A cold, unwavering vow that she, and only she, would be the one to take Seiryu down. Shell's death revealed a terrifying truth. The Empire was now deploying its own Tegu wielders to hunt them. The war had just escalated to a whole new level of deadly, and as if that weren't enough, General Esdeath had finally returned to the capital, bringing with her a power that made Seiryu look like child's play. As they buried their friend, a new kind of threat was arriving in the capital. The victorious General Esdeath made a request no one expected. She wanted to fall in love, but love, for Esdeath, was nothing like it is for ordinary people. While drafting a list of requirements for her ideal partner, she assigned a new mission to her three beasts: assassinate key officials opposing the Prime Minister and plant false evidence framing Night Raid. Back at the hideout, Shell's death was still a fresh wound for everyone. During a quiet nighttime conversation, Tatsumi saw Akame break. For just a moment, she confessed that the pain of loss was unbearable, but she forced it down to remain effective in battle. Moved by her strength, Tatsumi made a vow that would echo to the very end. He would survive, no matter what. Najenda quickly saw through the trap. The murdered officials were crucial pieces in the future revolutionary nation. It was an obvious bait, but one they couldn't ignore. Split into pairs, Tatsumi and Bulat were sent aboard the luxurious cruise ship Ryusen. While on board, Bulat opened up about his dark past. He once served in the Imperial Army under an honorable general, betrayed and executed by the current regime. Meanwhile, Leone scouted the capital and located Esdeath. What she felt was pure primal terror. The general's presence was so overwhelming that Leone, guided by raw survival instinct, retreated without making a move. Back on the ship, the trap was sprung. Niao played his enchanted flute, an imperial relic that induced a deep, irresistible sleep. Tatsumi resisted and faced off against Daidara, but the uneven fight nearly killed him. That's when Bulat arrived, wounded on purpose to break the spell's hold. Before him stood one of the three beasts, led by a face that shook him to his very core: General Liver, his former commander, someone he had believed to be long dead. The most painful betrayal was about to become the deadliest battle of their lives. Reunions can be the most beautiful or the most devastating things in the world. For Bulat, seeing his former mentor alive became a death sentence. Liver revealed the secret behind his resurrection. Esdeath had saved him after he was betrayed by the Empire.
Since joining forces with Esdeath, people everywhere cower before me.
Gratitude turned into unwavering devotion. Without hesitation, Bulat activated Incarcio and struck down Daidara with a thunderous blow. Liver's counterattack was brutal. Black Marlin, a ring that gave him complete control over any liquid. The canal water became his weapon, launching strikes that pushed Incarcio's defenses to the edge. As old comrades tore each other apart, Tatsumi faced Niao, whose inhuman speed nearly overwhelmed him, but the real battle was between a broken heart and twisted loyalty. Both Tegu were pushed pushed to their limits. In the end, it all came down to what truly mattered: pure sword skill. Liver injected a vial that boosted his power, but it was laced with a deadly poison. His blood blades dealt Bulat a grave wound. The two warriors landed their final blows at the same time and fell together. In his dying breaths, Liver confessed that he followed Esdeath not out of logic, but sheer admiration. There was no reason, only awe for her overwhelming strength. Poisoned and dying, Bulat watched as Niao revealed his final move. Using Scream on himself, he transformed into a grotesquely muscular monster. All hope seemed lost. Then Bulat made a choice that changed everything. He passed the Incarcio key to Tatsumi. Inherit my will. Despite the deadly risk, Tatsumi accepted. He shouted the name of the Teigu with everything he had, and Incarcio answered. Not only did it armor him, it evolved, reshaping itself to match Tatsumi's fierce spirit. Empowered, he destroyed Niao with ease. He returned just in time to hear Bulat's final words.
One of these days, you will surpass me.
Words of encouragement that warmed his heart as he wept. Elsewhere in the Empire, an even darker shadow was on the move. Kurome, Akame's younger sister, was summoned to the capital to join a newly formed elite unit. Night Raid had lost a pillar, but gained a successor. The question was, could Tatsumi carry on Bulat's legacy? Tatsumi's recovery wasn't just physical, it was a complete transformation. Determined to honor Bulat's legacy, he trained relentlessly to master Incarcio. His mentor's final words echoed in his mind. With rigorous training, he might one day surpass him. Najenda departed for the Revolutionary Army's headquarters, taking the captured Teigu and seeking reinforcements. With Akame assuming temporary command, Night Raid faced an uncertain future. Meanwhile, in the palace, Esdeath regarded the loss of her three beasts with absolute coldness. To her, defeat was the natural fate of the weak. Her attention turned to a new idea: forming an elite unit of Teigu users. The new team assembled at a location in the capital. Wave, a flamboyantly dressed young soldier from the Imperial Navy. Dr. Stylish, a sadistic scientist with a thirst for experimentation. Kurome, a girl obsessed with sweets who carried a deep inner darkness. Seryu, a fanatical defender of justice. Bowles, the masked giant of the incineration squad. And Run, a calm man hiding more than a few secrets. Esdeath greeted them with a surprise attack to test their skills before formally introducing herself. She christened the task force Jaegers, the Hunters. During the team celebration, Esdeath shocked everyone with a personal revelation. She was searching for love. To that end, she announced a citywide martial arts tournament. Needing money for his village, Tatsumi signed up. With all the experience he'd gained in life or death battles, victory came almost too easily, but his innocent smile after the match caught the eye of someone who was never supposed to notice him. Esdeath descended into the arena, placed a collar around his neck, and declared him her property.
We'll talk further in my room, just the two of us.
Dragging him off to the palace in front of a stunned crowd. News of the incident quickly reached Night Raid. Now, they had to not only stay hidden from the Jaegers, but plan the impossible rescue of their captured comrade. Tatsumi was in the lair of the Empire's most dangerous beast. Would he survive long enough to be rescued? Before any rescue could be attempted, Tatsumi was already being dragged into his first mission with the Jaegers, taking down a bandit stronghold. The operation was a brutal show of force, one that made his blood run cold. Seryu unleashed her twisted arsenal of justice. Dr. Stylish attacked with sadistic surgical precision. Bowles incinerated enemies without mercy. Run ruled the skies with his deadly wings. Tatsumi watched it all unfold under Esdeath's sharp gaze, realizing that escape would be anything but easy. That night, he took a different approach. He confronted Esdeath directly, confessing his desire to join the Revolutionary Army and asking her to fight alongside him. Her rejection was absolute and revealing. The weak don't deserve sympathy. The world belongs to the strong. I won't change for you. You will change for me. During a hunt for danger beasts on Fake Mountain, Tatsumi was stunned to recognize something uncanny in Kurome. She looked just like Akame. The confirmation hit him like a punch to the gut. They were sisters, and Kurome wanted to kill Akame for her betrayal of the Empire. But the hunt became his golden opportunity. While fighting alongside Wave, Tatsumi activated Incarcio's invisibility and made his move to escape. Wave gave chase, revealing his own armor-type Teigu Grand Chariot. A fierce battle erupted, with Wave denouncing Night Raid as nothing more than bloodthirsty killers. Tatsumi, focused on getting away, used the river's current to slip out of reach. Wounded and exhausted, he was nearly killed by another danger beast, until Akame emerged from the shadows to save him. Akame and Lubbock were nearby as well, keeping watch from from a distance. Back in safety, Tatsumi reported everything: the Jaegers, their Taegu, and the devastating truth about the sisters.
I don't think any of the Jaegers are tougher than we are. It's just Esdeath.
Akame reaffirmed her resolve to defeat Esdeath, but a new threat was already closing in. Dr. Stylish had used enhanced soldiers to track Tatsumi's scent. The Night Raid's hideout had been discovered. The hunt was about to erupt into full-scale war, and this time, there would be no place to hide. The attack struck like a tsunami of violence. Dr. Stylish's forces stormed the Night Raid's hideout, turning their sanctuary into a battlefield. Lubbock unleashed lethal traps with his wires, while Akame faced off against Toby, a warrior with robotic movements that pushed her legendary speed to the limit. Mine erupted with rage at the sight of Koku wielding Esdeath, Shell's Taegu, defiled by murderous hands. High above, Dr. Stylish revealed himself, declaring that his soldiers were nothing more than disposable criminals, test subjects for his twisted experiments. When Tatsumi was taken over by Koku, Mine saved him at the last second, reclaiming the Esdeath from the creature. All seemed lost until the skies opened. Najenda returned, soaring in atop a flying danger beast, flanked by two new allies. The Revolutionary Army's clairvoyant Taegu had foreseen the attack. Leone took brutal revenge on the soldier who had ambushed her. The group had assembled, but Dr. Stylish revealed his trump card, a paralyzing gas that incapacitated everyone, except for Tatsumi, shielded by Incarcio, and the newcomers. Susanoo, one of the new arrivals, revealed himself as a humanoid Taegu, immune to the poison. With staggering speed and precision, he wiped out the remaining enemies. Using sharp intuition, Susanoo located Dr. Stylish. Cornered, the mad scientist did the unthinkable. He injected himself with pure danger beast extract and devoured his own men, transforming into a monstrous abomination. Susanoo held the beast at bay to buy time as Tatsumi carried a partially paralyzed Akame into position. Together, they closed in on the nightmare. With a final decisive strike, Akame ended the scientist's life.
You were lucky to die with all your parts intact. Don't take something like that for granted.
But victory came at a cost, and everyone knew Dr. Stylish was only the beginning. The Jaegers were coming, and this time, it wouldn't be an ambush. It would be all-out war. After nearly losing everything, Night Raid found refuge in the Highlands, a region teeming with dangerous beasts, serving both as a natural training ground and a fortress. There, Najenda officially introduced the reinforcements who had saved their lives. Chelsea, an assassin whose Taegu, Gaia Foundation, allowed her to change appearances at will, and Susanoo, a humanoid Taegu who was not only a formidable warrior, but also a domestic expert. Meanwhile, in the Empire, the Jaegers confirmed the death of Dr. Stylish, prompting Esdeath to renew her vow of vengeance with furious tears. The group dynamic changed drastically. Chelsea constantly teased Mine, while Susanoo became the perfect organizer, even mentioning that Najenda reminded him of his former master. During training, Tatsumi demonstrated improved control over Incarcio, unlocking its secondary weapon, the halberd Nuntote. But then, Chelsea crossed a line. She openly criticized the entire Night Raid, claiming that Shell and Bulat had died because they were naive, and warned that the same fate would befall the rest unless they hardened their hearts. That was too much. Mine, Tatsumi, and Lubbock plotted a prank to teach the arrogant newcomer a lesson. Tatsumi attempted to surprise her in the bath using Incarcio's invisibility, but Susanoo intercepted him with a critical reminder. Incarcio only hides the user's image, not their presence. The prank failed miserably. Chelsea had foreseen everything and had already transformed to throw them off. Later, once the dust settled, she revealed the truth behind her harsh demeanor. Her previous team had been annihilated during a mission, and she was the only survivor. Her sharp words were born from fear of watching new comrades suffer the same fate. If she could help it, no one else would die from naivete. Back in the capital, Esdeath sensed her reunion with Tatsumi drawing near. She was preparing for battle with new, deadly weapons she had acquired. The calm was ending. The true storm was on its way. Before the Golden Throne, Esdeath reported her success in eradicating rebel forces with the same cold detachment one might use to discuss the weather. In return, she received a new mission, one that sparked her peculiar curiosity: to hunt down a previously unknown species of danger beast that had begun appearing near the capital. Prime Minister Honest expressed a particular interest in these creatures.
We could have a lot of fun with these new toys, yes?
Requesting that some be captured alive. His smile masked intentions so vile, any decent person would be sickened to their core. Out in the field, the Jaegers were already in action. Bowles rescued a group group of merchants from an attack, only to be met with fear and suspicion due to his appearance. In a quiet moment, he confided in Wave something devastating. He accepted that fear and hatred as penance for past atrocities, finding solace only in the unconditional love of his wife and daughter. Back at the Night Raid hideout, Susanoo was training Tatsumi, teaching him how to spot the weak points in any enemy. Though he saw himself merely as a Taegu, the group welcomed him as a true comrade. Then came the mission: eliminate the new breed of danger beasts. Some questioned why they were fighting the same battle as the Empire, but Tatsumi reminded them of a higher purpose: protecting innocent lives above all else. Run proposed a terrifying theory. These creatures were once human, twisted results of Dr. Stylish's experiments that had escaped from a secret laboratory. During a nighttime patrol, Lubbock opened up to Tatsumi, revealing the true reason he joined Night Raid: his love for Najenda. He had first met her when she was still a general of the Empire. He even faked his own death to follow her. Alone atop a mountain ridge, Tatsumi encountered the last person he ever wanted to see: Esdeath. Their unexpected reunion was cut short by the sudden appearance of a colossal danger beast. Before either could react, the monster charged, forcing them to fight side by side. But would battling together bring them closer, or only show Tatsumi just how irredeemably lost Esdeath truly was? The giant creature was merely a smokescreen. A mysterious man stepped out of the shadows, introducing himself as Sura, the Prime Minister's son. With a blinding flash, he activated Shambhala, his Taegu. In an instant, Tatsumi and Esdeath were teleported to a place that would change everything. They landed on a deserted island used as a breeding ground for massive danger beasts, similar in form to Dr. Stylish's final mutation.
It looks just like Dr. Stylish after he used that trump card.
Esdeath revealed a level of power that made Tatsumi realize just how much he had underestimated her. She annihilated the creatures with an ease that was almost insulting. Stranded together, Esdeath remained calm and used the time for something more dangerous than any battle: getting closer to Tatsumi. With a chilling pride, she shared her past. She was raised in a northern tribe where the law was simple: only the strong survive. After her tribe was wiped out, she didn't seek revenge. She sought power. Enlisting in the military, she turned trauma into fuel, forging strength through sheer will. The truth behind her Taegu sent a chill down Tatsumi's spine. Demon's extract. Ignoring all warnings that the blood of a danger beast would drive anyone to madness, Esdeath drank every last drop. Her unbreakable will crushed the curse, allowing her to fully assimilate the power of ice. Tatsumi finally understood a dark truth. Esdeath's nature wasn't born of trauma or madness. It was who she truly was. She couldn't be changed, because she had no desire to change. Then, Shambhala's portal reopened. Seeing his one chance, Tatsumi made a desperate move. He lured Esdeath close, then jumped through the portal alone, returning to the mountain. Using Encarcio's invisibility, he remained hidden until Esdeath left, convinced that fate would one day reunite them. Now truly free, Tatsumi accepted the truth he had long denied. There was no saving her. The next time they met, they would be mortal enemies, and only one of them would survive. On the outskirts of the capital, Night Raid ramped up its psychological warfare. Chelsea had infiltrated the hideout of a corrupt officer, only to discover that the target had already been taken out by someone else.
We were too late.
I don't know what happened.
She escaped the arriving Jaegers by transforming into a cat, demonstrating just how lethal her Taegu could be. Back at base, Tatsumi returned as Najenda unveiled a plan that would change everything: a three-pronged offensive to bring down the Empire once and for all. The Revolutionary Army would exploit the uprising of the religious group Path of Peace in the east as a diversion, while an allied tribe attacked from the west. With the Empire's forces stretched thin, the main army would strike from the south in a decisive blow. Night Raid's mission: ensure the uprising by assassinating Bolik, the Prime Minister's spy embedded in the religious leadership. On top of that, they were to lure the Jaegers into a deadly trap and eliminate them. Tatsumi, now fully committed to the path of an assassin, didn't hesitate. The boy from the village was gone for good. To bait the Jaegers, Night Raid planted false intel that forced Esdeath to split her forces. She, along with Seryu and Rune, followed one trail, while Kurame, Wave, and Bowles were sent straight into the ambush. In a remote clearing, Kurame's group encountered a lone scarecrow. Suddenly, a gunshot tore through the air aiming at Kurame, but she dodged it just in time. Night Raid emerged from the shadows, revealing the trap. In response, Kurame unsheathed Yatsufusa and summoned her undead puppets, including the towering Destagul. The battle that would decide the fate of the revolution was about to begin, and not everyone would live to see the next dawn. The clearing erupted in violence as Kurame unleashed her 8 puppets, powerful warriors she had slain and reanimated reanimated, including Natara, her childhood friend turned undead bodyguard. The battlefield splintered into deadly duels. Akame clashed with Natara, haunted by the sight of her former comrade reduced to a hollow shell. Elsewhere, the other Night Raid members faced off against the remaining puppets in brutal fights that pushed them to their limits. Following Nagenda's command, Susanoo took on the towering Daistagul. The battle was beyond fierce. The puppets felt neither pain nor fear, forcing precise tactics to take them down. From a distance, Chelsea used her Tegu to create diversions, allowing Tatsumi to land a decisive blow on his opponent. As the tide turned, Nagenda made a desperate call. Susanoo would activate his Magatama manifestation. Drawing life force from Nagenda, Susanoo entered a more powerful form and obliterated Destagul with a devastating attack. With the monster down, Night Raid gained a crucial advantage. Leone managed to damage Bowles' flamethrower. One by one, the puppets began to fall. Meanwhile, Leone and Akame cornered Bowles. With his Tegu disabled and no way out, he did the unthinkable.
I'll dispose of it.
Wait! No, don't!
He activated the self-destruct mechanism on his weapon. The explosion engulfed him and the surrounding area in a fiery catastrophe that echoed across the battlefield. As the smoke cleared, it became painfully clear. The price of victory had been far too high, and the worst was still to come. The explosion that tore through the forest was Bowles' final act of heroism. With this critical loss, the remaining Jaegers retreated to regroup. Leone survived, though she lost an arm, but her Tegu triggered a powerful regeneration. Overconfident, Chelsea decided to hunt down Kurame on her own. Disguised as a young village girl, she encountered Bowles, who had narrowly escaped the initial blast. Taking on the persona of a survivor from one of the villages he had burned, Chelsea exploited his overwhelming guilt and stabbed him through the heart. Certain of her easy victory, she set off on her true mission. She tracked down Kurame and ambushed her, striking a vital point with her needle. Believing she had won, Chelsea turned to leave. Fatal mistake. Kurame rose like a zombie. Since Akame's departure, the Empire had developed a new enhancement drug, one that made its users nearly immortal unless their heart was destroyed or their head severed. The drug pushed the body beyond its limits, but it kept Kurame alive. Completely outmatched, Chelsea tried to flee, but Kurame's puppets paralyzed her within moments. Captured and torn apart, Chelsea's final thoughts were of how she wished Tatsumi could have seen her success and admired her for it. Tatsumi and Akame arrived in the city in search of Chelsea. In the center of the square, they found a chilling display that froze them in place. Her head, impaled on a spike, left as a warning. Chelsea's arrogance had cost her her life. Now, Night Raid knew. Underestimating the Jaegers meant certain death, but the fury blazing in Tatsumi's eyes promised that her death would be avenged in blood. The brutal loss of Chelsea should have broken Tatsumi.
If only I don't know.
But Akame forced him to channel his pain into focus. There was no time for mourning, only vengeance. Night Raid infiltrated Kiraku, a religious stronghold controlled by the minister, with one goal: assassinate Bolek, its corrupt leader. But the Jaegers arrived as his bodyguards, accompanied by a new threat, the Rakshasa demons. These elite warriors performed superhuman feats that defied all logic. Kurame, still suffering from the after effects of the drug and her injuries, forced herself to stay on the front lines. In the world of Imperial assassins, being seen as weak was a death sentence. Night Raid split up to investigate the city. Akame was confronted by Ibarra, one of the demons, who could stretch his limbs like whips. In a cunning move that showcased her lethal experience, Akame allowed him to grab hold of Murasame. The cursed blade instantly poisoned any impure soul that touched it. Ibarra fell, defeated by his own ambition. From afar, Run observed, silently gathering data on Akame's abilities. Lubbock was ambushed by two other demons. He faked his death to catch one off guard, piercing him with his wires. He then faced Meizu, who used her sweat like slick oil to boost her speed. Lubbock defeated her with a hidden wire trap, with 3 of the 4 elite guards eliminated in a single night. Esdeath acknowledged the true power of Night Raid. She declared that from now on, stopping them would be the sole responsibility of the Jaegers. The war had escalated to its final stage. There was no more room for mistakes. Only the strongest would survive. In Kuroku, during the religious festival, Night Raid executed their plan: infiltrate the palace and eliminate Bolek. Tatsumi and Mine created a diversion, but were quickly identified by Seryu. "Traitor corrupted by evil!" she screamed, unleashing Koro in a massive assault that turned the street into a war zone. When Suzuka, the last of the Rakshasa demons, appeared to intercept them,
It's the 4th Rakshasa demon!
Suzuka.
Tatsumi made a choice that would change everything. He would take on the veteran assassin so Mine could settle her score with Seiryu. The battle laid bare the brutal gap in experience. Suzuka outclassed Tatsumi in technique, speed, and cunning. Meanwhile, Mine faced off against Seiryu, who cruelly taunted her with the deaths of their fallen comrades. Mine's rage fed directly into Pumpkin's power, amplifying it exponentially. She destroyed Koro's weapons one by one, each shot fueled by pure fury for Chelsea and Shell. In another location, Esdeath personally intervened to protect Bolek, who was fleeing the palace. The minister had proven to be more cunning than expected. Eventually, Mine cornered Seiryu and, with surgical precision, sliced her in half. In a desperate final act, Seiryu triggered the self-destruct bomb implanted in her body. Severely wounded and unable to move, Mine braced herself for the end, but in the final second, Tatsumi appeared, carrying her to safety, just out of reach of the devastating blast. Safe at last, Mine did something she'd never done before. She sincerely thanked him. She confessed she now had a reason to live and made Tatsumi promise he'd survive too. It was a promise that would become harder and harder to keep. The promise of survival became all the more ironic as the situation in the capital completely unraveled. With the Revolutionary Army advancing, the Prime Minister unveiled a new elite unit, Wild Hunt, led by his own son, Sura.
This is my son, Sura. I've decided to appoint him to serve as the company's commander.
Suspicious of the minister's true intentions, Commander-in-Chief Budo decided to step in personally. Meanwhile, Night Raid planned a covert operation, infiltrate the palace through underground aqueduct tunnels to assassinate the Prime Minister. Tatsumi and Lubbock were tasked with contacting resistance members inside, but when they arrived at the meeting point, they uncovered a grim truth. Every single contact was already dead. Sura had slaughtered them all, setting up a flawless ambush. He activated Shambhala, opening deadly portals, and attacked with sadistic delight. But before the battle could reach its peak, Budo appeared, challenging Tatsumi to a one-on-one duel and leaving Lubbock to deal with Sura. Clad in Incarcio, Tatsumi faced the overwhelming power of Budo and his Tegu, Adramelech. Every strike from the general was crushing, pushing Incarcio's defenses to their very limits. Lubbock relied on cunning rather than brute force. He quickly deduced that Sura could only open portals at pre-marked locations. Using his threads, he set a complex trap and managed to ensnare Sura as a hostage. In a final act of desperation, Sura activated a secret ability, an interdimensional portal designed to banish Lubbock forever. In a last heroic move, Lubbock latched a thread to Sura and dove into the portal with him, sacrificing himself to take the enemy down. Amid the chaos, Tatsumi was captured by Imperial forces. The Prime Minister began planning a public execution to crush the revolution's morale, but then, Esdeath arrived, declaring she would personally decide Tatsumi's fate. Sometimes being saved is worse than dying. Even knowing it was an obvious trap, Mine, Akame, and Leone flatly refused to abandon Tatsumi. Najenda made the suicide mission official, attack the public execution to rescue their comrade and preserve the revolutionary morale. In prison, Esdeath made one final offer: join me. Tatsumi refused with unwavering resolve. Heartbroken but resolute, Esdeath decided she would carry out the execution herself. On the day of the execution, the Emperor gave an empty speech before withdrawing with the Prime Minister, leaving Budo and Esdeath in charge. At the crucial moment, Night Raid stormed the square like a whirlwind. Leone took on Budo head-on, but was paralyzed by a devastating lightning counterattack. In a desperate position, Mine readied her shot with Pumpkin, explaining that her Tegu grew stronger, the greater the danger. To confront Esdeath, Najenda finally revealed her own Tegu, Susanoo, the humanoid warrior. Mine channeled all her life energy into a single shot, defeating Budo in one hit. Susanoo, meanwhile, activated Magatama manifestation to face Esdeath, but the general unveiled her final trump card, Mahapadma, a technique that froze time and space itself.
Too much would be overkill anyway.
Within the frozen moment, Esdeath destroyed Susanoo's core. Desperate, Najenda sacrificed part of her life force to reactivate him one last time. Knowing he couldn't win, Susanoo used his final moments to restrain Esdeath and ensure his comrade's escape. She acknowledged him, not as a Tegu, but as a warrior. During their escape, Tatsumi held the mortally wounded Mine. With her final words, she confessed her love for him and died in his arms. Victory came at a cost that nearly broke broke the survivors. In the hideout, the pain of loss hung in the air with every breath. Tatsumi questioned whether it had all been worth it, but Akame reminded him they carried the weight of the dead and they had to keep going. With renewed resolve, they prepared for the final battle. In the capital, chaos reigned. Wave and Kurome, the last remaining Jaegers, fought to contain the disorder. Then Run revealed a shocking truth to Wave. He had always been a revolutionary infiltrator, working from within to change the empire. He urged Wave to escape with Kurome, but Wave hesitated. Kurome sent a coded message to Akame, challenging her to a final duel. Despite Tatsumi's pleas, Akame accepted. Only she could face her sister and finally put the past to rest. Tatsumi swore they would both come back alive, but it was a promise no one could keep. The sisters met at the designated place. The battle began with Kurome summoning puppet soldiers to attack. The clash awakened a dormant danger beast, forcing the two to fight side by side, just for a moment, a glimpse of the bond they once shared. When Wave arrived to protect Kurome, Tatsumi intercepted him. He explained that, as painful as it was, the duel had to happen for both sisters to move on. Understanding this, Wave stepped back. Alone once more, the sisters exchanged their final blows. With a heavy heart, Akame struck the fatal blow. In her final moments, Kurome confessed her love for her sister, finally finding peace. Wave mourned the loss, while Tatsumi offered quiet comfort. But meanwhile, in the palace, the Prime Minister manipulated the young Emperor into activating the Empire's ultimate Taegu, a weapon of unimaginable power meant to crush the rebellion once and for all. With only 4 members left, Night Raid prepared for their final mission: infiltrate the palace and eliminate Honest, the source of the Empire's corruption. As the Revolutionary Army launched its assault on the capital, Akame, Leone, and Tatsumi used the chaos as cover to slip inside. The Imperial Guard, loyal to the bitter end, was swiftly overwhelmed. Run intercepted them, refusing to step aside. His mission was to reform the Empire from within. Leone stayed behind to face him alone, allowing Akame and Tatsumi to press forward. In the throne room, they found the young Emperor, manipulated by the Prime Minister. Tatsumi tried to reason with the boy, revealing the tyranny that had destroyed countless innocent lives. But the minister ignored the plea and urged the Emperor to activate the ultimate Taegu. A colossal armor rose over the capital, a final trump card passed down through generations. Piloting the weapon, the Emperor unleashed a devastating assault, obliterating parts of his own city and massacring civilians. The slaughter forced Wave to act. He declared his duty was to protect the innocent. He joined Tatsumi in trying to bring down the towering Taegu. Together they fought with all they had, but the armor was nearly indestructible. Tatsumi spotted a structural weakness and, channeling the strength of his fallen comrades, pushed Incarcio beyond its very limits. With a final cry, he struck a blow that shattered the massive armor, but the price was steep: his life. Tatsumi died in Akame's arms, breaking his promise to return alive. The fall of Tatsumi and the Emperor did not mark the end of the war. From the ashes rose General Esdeath, the last and most powerful defender of the regime. Akame confronted her in the final battle for the capital. Driven solely by her lust for battle, Esdeath unleashed devastating ice attacks, transforming the city into a frozen battlefield. Pushed to her limit, Akame activated Murasame's secret technique. She accepted the weight of every soul her blade had claimed, turning the curse into strength and abandoning her own humanity in order to win.
Even if it kills me, I'll end you now.
Esdeath froze time with Mahapadma, but Akame, anticipating the move, left behind an afterimage born of her killing intent and struck at the exact moment time resumed. Defeated, Esdeath approached Tatsumi's body. In her final act, she froze herself together with him, vanishing into icy dust. Prime Minister Honest tried to escape, but Leone intercepted him. He revealed a hidden Taegu, one that could destroy others. He shattered hers and shot at her vital points, but Leone didn't go down. Her true power came from within, a will so strong it defied even death. With sheer determination she rose, stronger than his weapon. She executed him with her bare hands. Mortally wounded in the battle, Leone took one last walk through the streets of the capital. After a brief farewell with Akame, she sat down in a quiet alleyway and died peacefully, a smile on her face. With the war over, a new nation began to rise. The young emperor faced his execution with dignity, asking for a peaceful future. Najenda, with Akame's support, took the lead in rebuilding the country. To ensure the new government had a clean slate, Akame took responsibility for all of Night Raid's crimes. Carrying the burden of her actions and the memory of her fallen comrades, she vanished into the shadows, continuing to fight evil wherever it appeared.
Good luck out there, Akame.
The true heroes are those who carry the darkness so that others may live in the light.